Okay, we are in Siman Kufyat Aleph Halachas of Pesach. We're up to the ninth shir, I believe. We are moving along. So now we're in Sif Yud Aleph. We were discussing all about Bdikas Chametz, the process, where to look, how to look, when to look, all that good stuff. Okay, Sif Yud Aleph. Af al pi shebitul es hachametz balayla. Wait, did we start this already?
No.
Oh no, we did Yud.
In the middle, yes, in the middle. We didn't finish.
No, we did. We did the Yiddish part. It was all yeah.
Yeah, we did the Yiddish part.
It was a lot of fun in Yiddish. Okay. Even though after you search for the chametz at night, the next thing you do is you're mevata the chametz. So you tell yourself any chametz, like we mentioned before, is worthless to you and it's whatever. And me'ikar adin, that's all you need to do. You searched, you were mevatel it, it no longer belongs to you. That's all you have to do, according to the Torah. Now, nevertheless, the halacha is that even the next day, after you burn it, right? So then, yachsar v'yivatlan. You're going to go and you're going to do another bittul more again, even though you did one last night. Now, what's the, I guess, addition you could say? So over here, v'yichlo, you're going to include something that you didn't say before, which is kol hachametz. You're going to include all of your chametz. V'yomer, you're going to say kol chamira, meaning even the chametz that you left over from the night before. Last night, the first night, you only say you're being mevata all the chametz that you don't know about. The ones that you do know about, you're not being mevatel because you're planning on eating it the next day. Now, the next day after you burn it, now it's already right before this man. You have no more use for any chametz. Then you're mevatel all the chametz, even the ones that you do know about. Obviously, not the ones that you're selling, as we mentioned yesterday, a few days ago from the Tzemach Tzedek. Yeah. So this is what you do then. Now, so the Yomar, you're going to say kol chamira, the same thing that we said before. Now, one second. Oh, now you have to do this after you burn. Yeah, why can't you just do this before you burn the chametz? Do it in the morning when you wake up, part of davening. The reason is because then when you burn it, the same issue as pouring on the accelerant or that stuff. When you burn it, you're not really burning your chametz. And the mitzvah is beer to do the burning, and the burning means it has to be yours. So you can't do the bittul before you burn it. That's ideally. Okay. Now, so say it's not that you can't, it's just that you want the burning to be destructing your chametz, because that's the mitzvah of beer chametz. You're destroying your chametz. But if you're mevatel it, then it's not yours. So then you're just burning random stuff.
Like you're burning what you didn't say last night. Like
Yes, exactly. So by night, you're only mevatel, you only nullify the chametz that you don't know about. The ones that you do know about, you're not mevatel. You're going to eat it the next day. You can't be mevatel something that you're still considering yours and important. The next day, the first thing you do is you burn whatever chametz you had. So now you are mekuyim the mitzvah of beer chametz, right? You destroyed it through fire. And then after that, then you do the bittul in case there's anything left somewhere that you want to make sure it's all going to be part of it. So that's the way they do it. Now, how do you do this? So again, you're going to do this either in the lashon of that's written in the siddur of Aramaic, or lashon or any other lashon that you do understand. Like we said yesterday, kol sa'ar v'chol chametz shebershusi, any chametz that you have in your rishus and isi that you do know about, you do see. Even if you don't see it, Shabiartiv, you may have burnt it, maybe it wasn't, or destroyed it in some way, but it wasn't a perfect destruction, or maybe Vishalebart, you didn't even destroy it. In all these cases, Yei Batul, the Hefker, it should be nullified, and it should be Hefker, like we said yesterday. The Choshev Ka'afar Ha'aretz, and like the Alter Rebbe adds in Ha'aretz, that it should be Ka'afar Da'ara, whatever. And then if you want to read it in the Yiddish, yeah. Okay. We did it already yesterday, you can go on the recording, you can listen to it there. Yeah. Now the thing is that now after the burning of the chametz, so that after the burning of the chametz, so the Rebbe Rashab would say that azevim menot fabren the chametz hagashmi, azoizom fabren and the chametz ruchmi. Just like we burnt the gashmi stick of chametz and we got rid of all leaven products, so too we should get rid of all the ruchni stick of chametz that we may have within ourselves. And we get rid of that as well. Now, if you look on the bottom, it says over there by the little hay, it says, our minig is b'shah sneifas hachametz, when you burn the chametz, yomer yehiratzen, we do say the yehiratzen, which is a mefia b'siddur, which is brought in the siddur, b'tchilas haggadah shal Pesach. If you don't have a siddur, it's also in the beginning of the haggadah. There's especially yehiratzen that we should get rid of all types of chametz in our psyche or whatever, inside of ourselves. Yeah, we say it. Sure. After you burn it, while it's burning, there's a yehiratzen that you say. It's in the siddur. It's in the Haggadah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Siddur doesn't say that it's like the
I don't know if it says it in the Siddur. Did we mention it or we didn't mention it yet? Well, we didn't mention it. We mentioned it in Gemara Sukkah. We didn't mention it either. Yes, there's some people save it and they use it. So it gets used first, right, as firewood for the next mitzvah. So it's like a nice thing to do. You don't have to. When I lived in Crown Heights, I would end up, wherever I did my second days of Sukkot, and then Pesach I was somewhere else, and I didn't necessarily have it with me. So I think some years I had it for like 3 years. It wasn't really. I don't know what I. By that time, it was more. So it depends. What? How do you use the? You can't use a little for wicks of Hanukkah candles. It burns up. What? A lulav you use for your Shabbos candles? What? How?
I mean, there's other mitzvahs that are burns up. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe burning your challah. Okay, and it's a minute. You could possibly. Well, I don't know. Baking challah. No, baking challah is a hechsher mitzvah. It's not really a mitzvah. There's no mitzvah to have challah anyways. It's a special. There's kabbalistic things. We have to have bread. We don't have to have challah specifically. You can have any bread. Oh, it's hafrosh challah, but hafrosh challah we burn. That's not the real mitzvah. The real mitzvah is supposed to go to the kohen.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not really doing a mitzvah with it. In a way, we're doing the requirement of the mitzvah of challah is the separating it, but the burning it is we have no other choice basically. But I don't think it's okay. There's a lot of things you could use it with, and I'm sure when you guys get older, you could patent different things with it. Most times they get very dry. They get very nothing. There's not much you can do with it. So you keep it, you burn it. That's it. Okay. Let's go back. I'm surprised none of you said something else. Why don't we burn it with the nails before Shabbos when you burn your fingernails? It is? Well, you're right. I mean,
Why is it cut?
so the Friedrich Rebbe spoke about it. We mentioned it that why is it need to burn it? Okay, but let's leave it for now. We're getting a little distracted here. Let's go to Sif Yud Beis. Sif Yud Beis. Okay, sorry, something happened over here. Sif Yud Beis. Let's say you have a room that you have to check. Yeah, it's a type of room that requires checking. Now, what you want to do is you want to turn it into a storage house. In other words, something that needs to be checked means that it's a small time use. That you go in there, you take stuff out, you put stuff in, maybe in the middle of a meal. That's why you have to check it. So, Eitzer, a storage house, is a long-term thing. You put in, let's just say, I mean, depends what it is, but let's say wine is not a good example because you have to take it out. But there are other things that you don't take out in small batches. You take out maybe things at a time. So you don't go there in the middle of a meal for whatever that could be. So in this case, you have a room that you needed to check. It was a used room, and you want to turn it into something that doesn't need to be checked. You never bring chametz in there. So Pirush, and he explains, what does that mean? They want to store fruits in there. Now, in those days, the pashtas, they would dry the fruits, because otherwise they didn't have, refrigerators and stuff like that. Or you ate some, or maybe you want to put firewood in there, or shardvarim. The problem is, when you fill it up with these things, you can't check it anymore. Right? So if it was full from, let's say, before Pesach, and then, the next Pesach that comes, you never will chametz in there past a certain point, so you don't have to check. The Gemara says 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, whatever. But over here, it was an open room that was used. And now you want to make it into a storehouse, which means that you're going to take it out of use and you're not going to be able to check it anymore. But you had to check it. So what do? Right? So now, and the Alter Rebbe, they add from the Alter Rebbe that even if you have in mind that by the time it comes to the next Pesach, you're going to clear it out and it won't be used for that, so you will be able to check it. That's what you have in mind. Nevertheless, it might not happen. You might get carried away. You might end up coming home. There's a family I know, they're from Alaska. So they say that when Shabbos comes in the winter, I don't know, it's very early there. But when Shabbos comes in the summer, it's like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., like crazy late. And they say, and it doesn't make a difference. Whatever time it is, it could be 5 minutes before Lichbenchen, and they're running outside calling their kids to come in and to take showers and get ready for Shabbos. It could be 1 a.m, 12 o'clock. It's the same thing. So sometimes, the nature of people is when you have less time, you accomplish more in less time. When you have more time, so then you extend it. You don't feel the need to rush. So here also, you had in mind, you're going to clear out this warehouse and you're going to use it and check it before Pesach. Wonderful. But who knows what's going to happen? You're going to go on a trip. You're going to come back last minute. Yeah, and then you're going to, what do you do now? So then, but come back, yeah? So then, so then the halacha is, before you close it off, that means before you bring in all your heavy furniture or whatever you're putting in there, you need to do b'dikas chametz first. Even if you have a long time until Pesach, yeah, because who knows what's going to happen. Even if it's immediately after Pesach. you have a chiyuv to do a b'dikas chametz because this is a room that right now is mechuyim b'dikas chametz, and you're going to lock it off. You're not going to be able to do it later. Similar to what we said before, and we mentioned it yesterday already, that if you're going to use a room for Pesach, I think actually the Rabbi Rashab and Rabbi Landau, the old Rabbi Landau, who's from Lubavitch, so he says that I think the Rabbi Rashab told him something that any room that's going to be used for Pesach should be cleaned and checked, abdikas chametz, before, even if it's a week or 2 weeks before, because how can you use it for Pesach if you didn't certify that there's no chametz? So that was already within 30 days. But here, what the Shulchan Aruch is saying, even if it's way before 30 days, because it was a room that was accessible for chametz, and now you're going to close it off, so you have to check it before. Now, so what happens if, let's say, you didn't? Like we mentioned, you filled it up, and then you're like, whoops, I forgot to check it. Because who's thinking about it when you're in the middle of the summer, yeah? So, let's say you forgot. So then we have two options. Number one, actually we have three options, but let's start with 1 and 2 in this fifth. Your intention is you're going to be clearing it out before. So let's say you store, winter gear or something like that, or spring gear. So, and you have a store. So you know that when it comes before Pesach, you're going to do the spring, take out the spring, what do you call it? The spring inventory. So you're going to take it all out of this storehouse and you're going to put it on the shelves. So you're clear in your mind, for sure you're clearing this out before Pesach. Otherwise, Pesach, it's too late already. You missed the whole season. So then, we don't make you go and take everything out and do the b'dikas chametz now. Because your intention is that you're going to be clearing it off. The Alter Rebbe, however, is a little bit more strict, and he says, really, you should be doing that. Unless there's a half semiruba. So even the Alter Rebbe agrees that there is a time that you may not have to do it. It's a half semiruba. Okay, so that's the thing. You know you're planning on clearing it out. We're not as strict because we're only worried you might not. But practically, your intention is that you will. So therefore, you're good. But let's say your intention is you have stuff that you store there for the Mashiach Suda, and where you are, the Mashiach Suda is the big deal, whatever. I don't know how that works, but somehow you're planning on clearing it out in the middle of Pesach. So that, or maybe it's in a second home you have somewhere, and you know you're going there for the second days of Pesach, or whatever the cheshbon is. So then, you have to do it right now. Take everything out, even though you loaded it up with big heavy stuff, and you have to check it because you're going to open up in the middle of Pesach, and you might have chametz there, and you had a chiyuv to check it before. Even if it's going to be a very big deal and it could even cost you a lot of money, this is what you got to do because you locked it in without having access to it later. And your intention is that you're not planning on checking it before, so then you have to check it now. Now, however, Yud Gimel. Let's say it's a summer thing, and therefore your intention is you're not opening this up till after Pesach. So you close it off, let's just say in the middle of the summer, and your intention is next summer when it comes to camp, let's just say, then you're going to be opening it up. So for the whole Pesach, it's locked. So now it depends when you close this off. If it's 30 days before Pesach and more, so then you don't have to check unless you know for sure there's chametz there. You have to destroy it. But if you don't know there's chametz there, then it's locked up. No one's accessing it till after Pesach. It's not a problem. You do a regular b'dikas, a regular bittul, and if you do a regular bittul, then it works. Now, by the way, you should check it before you close it. We're talking about where you didn't have a chance. You didn't have a chance to close it. Again, this is also where you don't sell it. Because remember, according to the Tzemach Tzedek, anything you're selling, you don't have to do. So in those days, not everyone sold, and they didn't sell real chametz. For us, let's say you have a campground and you're selling the whole thing for Pesach, then you don't have to go back and check and do all this stuff. This is talking about if you didn't sell it. So then, if it's locked up anyways, and no one's going to go there, and it's more than 30 days, so you don't have a requirement, the chiyuv, to do checking, so then it's not a problem. Be mevatla, and that's good enough. But let's say it's within 30 days, so now it's a whole different story, because now, within 30 days, you have a requirement to already get into the zone of Pesach. For like you don't eat the hamantashen upstairs in the house. So too, the rule is within 30 days, you already start learning the halachas, you already start acting on it. So within 30 days, even if no one's planning on going in here for Pesach, and it's going to be locked up, etc., bittul won't help because you have a separate chiyuv that you need to be checking all areas before Pesach, and therefore it's lebadke. Even if by mistake you forgot, so you'd have to empty it out and check it at night. Take it for as soon as you remember. Now, if you look in Vav at the bottom, he says the eitzah that we'll do, which is that gam yachol lichlo kol eitzah b'mechiras hachametz. That in this case you could just sell the whole thing, and if you sell the whole thing, then you don't have to worry about it. But here we're talking about for those that either don't sell or they don't like to sell, whatever the story is. So then they would have a chiyuv to check. But if it's a campground that no one's accessing for the whole Pesach, anyways, you just sell the whole thing, and you don't have to worry about it, according to us in the Tzemach Tzedek. But there are those who disagree, which is why he says this. Okay, so now let's continue. The im oisa, let's say a person goes and they make an oitzer bibor mechitim she'ena mechumatzos. So you have a pit where you store wheat. Now this wheat is not chametz. Not all wheat becomes chametz until it comes in contact with water and it starts to crack or split or sprout or whatever, like we mentioned a couple of days ago. So over here you have a storage place, what they call a silo or something like that, that's filled with wheat, but the wheat is not chametz. It's just fresh. So then, however, later, because the pit or the silo, whatever, was moist, therefore, the chametz, the wheat that was along the bottom and along the walls became chametz from the moisture. Okay, so when you put it in, it wasn't, but now it is. So what do? So even if you did it within 30 days, the halacha is you don't have to empty the whole thing out and check it. It's enough just to be mevatel. Why? There's chametz there. How could you be mevatel it? Okay, it happens to be each piece is very small. But why don't you have a chiyuv to check like everything else we mentioned? The reason is because when you put it in, you did it right. You did it beheter. Nothing was chametz. There was no need to check it. You made sure there was no chametz going in. Later on, the chametz happened on its own, so we don't make you do it. Bittul is in this. However, let's say there was originally grains of chametz, like we said, sprouted, cracked, or whatever, that was part of this huge silo or pit or whatever. So then, it really depends. Depends how deep, depends how much of stuff. And therefore, in that case, you have to ask someone. Again, depends if it's within 30 days. Depends if it's how many tachim deep it is, and all that stuff. Fine. Sif tezvav. You shouldn't take seeds, grain, which are not chametz, but you're throwing them to the chickens in a place that's wet, so it will become chametz within 30 days. And the reason is because you might forget. And this again, I mentioned before. If you want to go Erev Yom Tov, we'll do it very shortly. If you want to go Erev Yom Tov and you want to throw in the morning stuff into your thing for the birds to come and eat, you can't do that because what if the birds don't come and eat? You're putting real chametz there. If you did it a few days before, it's fine. But in your own reshus, you shouldn't be throwing things and expecting the birds to come within 5 minutes and eating it. That should be swept up and thrown out in the garbage. It doesn't belong to you. But over here also the same thing. You're throwing grains that for sure will become chametz. You shouldn't do that. Sif tazayim. If someone's going to be traveling, and he doesn't plan on returning till after Pesach. So similar to you guys, you're going to be leaving your dormitories and you're not planning on coming back till after Pesach. So what do? So before you go, if someone will be home. So sometimes it's people that are leaving for Pesach themselves, but someone will be home. So then you tell someone else who's home, they should check for you in the right time. And you should be explicit. And you should say, you should tell them you're making them as your shliach. And when the shliach does the bittul, he should say, he shouldn't say his own, he should say someone else's. Nevertheless, this person, wherever he is, Pesach, he should also be mevatel his chametz. Now, if you look in the bottom, it says Zayin. Now, if you're going to be selling the chametz in that area, so you don't have to appoint anyone. You don't have to hire anyone to do the bedika and the bittul then. So there's two different things here. There's the night of Yud Daled, and then there's the night before you leave. The night of Yud Daled, So it depends if someone's going to be there or not. If someone will be there, you're memana them as a shliach. If you sell your chametz, you don't have to worry about it. But what about the night before you leave? If you leave within 30 days of Pesach, you have to do b'dikas chametz. So all of you guys, the night before you leave, you get a candle and you do b'dikas chametz around your bed. You don't make a bracha because it's not the night of your dalit. And lav dafka, you have to put out 10 pieces. It's more simple not to. But you go around with a candle. If you don't have a candle, you could use a flashlight, technically, like we said earlier. But ideally, if there's a candle around, which I think they'll arrange, and then you go around. What? You do it anyways. Just note where it is. I think you do b'dikas chametz anyway. Just your reshus. You don't have to worry about the places that are not yours. But the place that's yours, you do a little b'dikas chametz over.
You have to check as a class the entire dorm, or do we just
your requirement as a butler is to your area, not to anything else. The yeshiva will have to worry about itself, whatever. This is your space. That's what you check, and you should. If you didn't do it, it might not be the end of the world, because you're going to sell it. You're going to sell it also, so you don't have to worry about it the night before if you mamish forgot. This is more, you should sell it, or ask your parents to do it for you. But you should sell it, and but still, there's a separate chiyuv that if you're leaving within 30 days, you have a requirement to do b'dikas chametz, so you should do b'dikas chametz. Let's finish the last sip over here. Matzah chametz b'Pesach b'chol hamoed. Let's say you find chametz in the middle of Pesach. Yitziyenu v'yisrfenu, you should burn it right away if it's on chol hamoed. If there's a kazayis, you make an actual bracha. I'll be your chametz. If it's less than a kazayis, you don't make a bracha. And the Alter Rebbe says that l'imkein is chametz of Pesach was gomer, unless it wasn't chametz before Pesach. It became chametz on Pesach. So let's say grains that got wet or something like that. And then you should make a bracha because you never had it in mind in anything. You weren't mevatel it. You didn't do anything. It wasn't chametz. It wasn't yours. Now again, as we mentioned then, that nowadays that we sell it. So lav dafka, do you have to burn it, like we mentioned? If it's something that was there from before, you should put it away. And then 1 second, and then you're not going to be over, and the reason is because you sold it, right? 1 second, but you shouldn't touch it. So you should try to use it like a glove or something in some type of way. But there are people who say you should burn it. So I wouldn't say don't burn it, but I would say there's definitely strong opinions that you don't have to burn it. You could put it aside in the closet. If you want to burn it, you could. If it's on Yom Tif, then maybe move it away in a different way to the side. But lav dafka, you have to burn it like in those days because you sold all chametz, even the ones that you didn't know about. Now the but let's say you found it on the Yom Tif for Shabbos where you can't burn it. Or even if it's Erev Pesach, but after the Zman. No, it's muktzah. So then the asr l'tatli, you're not allowed to touch it. If it's Shabbos, an Erev Pesach, or any other day of Pesach itself, it's muktzah. So what do? So then mishum devi muktzah yichbal of kli, you should cover it ad mitzvah Yom Tif until the end of that Yom Tif or mitzvah Shabbos. But az yisufena, then you should burn it. And as I said, lav dafka, you have to burn it. You can maybe move it to your closet. That was part of the sold stuff, unless it wasn't there before. In other words, if someone brought it, if you know your cleaning lady, let's say, brought it or something like that. So then you could burn it. But I mean, l'chura, it's not yours, so really it doesn't really matter. But 1 second. Let's say you find it at the end of Pesach, meaning the second days. After that, Pesach's already over. So you don't make a bracha. You just burn it without a bracha. Even if it has a ksais, you don't make a bracha because it's no longer Pesach. So this is the sif, and we will tomorrow we'll continue with I guess Seder stuff. You got a question? 1 second.